G'day everyone, I'm Jazza, and as you can tell, I've been a little bit inspired by the Joker movie that came out recently. Okay, admittedly, I have a little bit of a Joker obsession. On my old mural, I had the Heath Ledger Joker, and actually, after that movie came out, I got obsessed with doing the Joker impression.
Why so serious? Let's put a smile on that face!
Anyway, I wouldn't advocate for everyone to see the recent Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix because it's rated R in America, and let's just say it's not your conventional superhero world movie. I mean, there's no superhero in sight, and the villain, it gets pretty dark. But I like it dark. It was cool. I loved it. But something I find really interesting is that that version of the Joker actually has a backstory, and this is something that, to my knowledge, hasn't really been done or fully fleshed out the way that they did with Arthur Fleck. Now obviously this isn't canon, this isn't something everyone embraces, but as a story and as a character piece it was really cool. But it's also interesting to then imagine what was the Heath version or the Jack Nicholson version's like real backstory. And furthermore, having seen someone go through the descent into madness sort of made it feel like anyone could become the Joker. And that's what we're gonna have a bit of a play with in today's video. Now this is my improvised Jazza version of the Joker. This is maybe what I would be like if I snapped. I am happy. I am glad. But I want to have a play and randomly just come up with some prompts as to who in the Batman or superhero universes could snap and become the Joker. And then beyond that, maybe a new identity. We'll do a couple of different Joker designs today. I'm gonna have to take my gloves off to do this. That sounds sort of cool. I'm taking off the gloves, people. We're getting serious. Serious?
Why so serious?
That was good. That was good moment there. So I'm going to be using my RT Games app to come up with some random generations of characters that I'm going to turn into the Joker. I'm going to snap people past their breaking point until they turn into the clown prince of crime, or at least their version of him. Now those of you who have had the RT Games app but haven't updated it, check it out because we've totally done a complete overhaul. It's really fun and there's extra game modes and a whole bunch more flexibility. Those of you who don't know what the RT Games app is, it's basically an art idea generator and gameplay mechanism. It's like basically a way to get your creative juices flowing. And we're going to be using the custom generator, which is my personal favorite way to come up with ideas. You can build custom lists, and we're going to build a DC list. I'm going to put in as many as I can think of, and let's start with the obvious ones. So that's my first list. It's a pretty simple list. We're just going to start off a little bit more vanilla. And so without any further ado, let's find out who is going to snap past their breaking point. Robin. I think that could be a really cool fit. I don't know if there's any DC lore where Robin is or becomes the Joker, so let me know in the comments if that's a thing, but I'm looking forward to making my interpretation of the Robin Joker. I had a lot of fun with this one, and it was a really cool base to begin with because, I mean, let's face it, Robin has sort of the perfect Joker-esque color palette anyway, right? With the red and the green. So it was a really cool base to begin with, and I actually spent about half an hour writing a story of how this version of Robin became the Joker. And I read it as the voiceover for this part of the video, and it was way too dark. I will have to unfortunately save the gruesome details, but suffice it to say that through the process of drawing this character, reinventing the path of Robin to becoming the Joker, the story of how that would be possible just really sort of became more and more vivid the more final the drawing became. So I'll give you a bit of a paraphrased version, but the idea is essentially that the Joker set up a bit of a trap in a nearby carnival, tricking Robin into thinking that there was just a petty thug crime. Some bolts were taken off and the Ferris wheel thing was like tipping over and he was like going in to save people, and it's not a crime worth Batman's time, so he swings in to save the day, and Batman isn't paying attention. He's off dealing with some more important crimes. But in a big cloud of gas, smoke stuff, he gets knocked unconscious and tied to a ride, a train car, which goes around and around and around for weeks and weeks and weeks, running people over one by one. Robin was given a front row seat to the horrible, horrible murders of many people which he was the sole witness to. And it turns out after such a long time of desensitization to such horrific, horrific scenes of murder and gruesomeness, with the distant sounds of the carnival and the very distant laughter of ignorant civilians who don't know the murder that awaits them, Robin's brain was snapped. Eventually, he broke out of the ride, and not due to being horrified or shocked or needing to escape to seek vengeance. No, it was the monotony that broke him. You see, the ride eventually became too boring. He'd done the same thing too many times until one day he tore his arms from the restraints. He escapes and he gets all messed up physically, and then behind him on the train car is the Joker, who says, "Fun, isn't it?" With his adrenaline running high and his thirst for that visceral violence flooding through his veins, Robin reached out and yanked free part of the set dressing of the clown car ride. A tall brass bar adorned at the top with a jester-like crown which he used to usurp the clown prince of crime, the Joker. And it was the Joker's plan all along that he create a successor, and a successor he did create. But when Joker himself was destroyed by the thing that he created, in a moment where silence should have fallen, it became clear that there was still the sound of deafening laughter surrounding Robin, because it was his own. And when his maniacal laughter finally died down, he said as if to someone, "You're right, that was fun." And so the new clown prince of crime was born. Anyways, that's the story I came up with for this Robin character. And like I said, it's pretty dark, but it was sort of fun to really get lost in the storytelling experience of creating a really visceral character, and with it, a really visceral story. And also, I like the word visceral. Alright, so to finish off with, I'm going to have a bit of fun. I'm going to do something completely new. So I've been generating from existing characters, but you know what is most interesting is when people can create a new Joker with their own story or with their own personality. Basing your Joker on other characters like we've done so far, that's cool, that's interesting, it's anchored on things we're familiar with. But let's come up with a brand new Joker who is going to be based on a mix of different traits and visual elements. So with our first prompt, I want to create an aesthetic, meaning you know how in the different Batman / Joker movies you have like a style. Heath Ledger looks sort of gritty and gristly and just a little bit dirty. The Tim Burton Joker is a bit larger than life and theatrical. The animated series is a bit sharp and edgy, and then of course the new Joker is a bit more grungy, a little bit more old-fashioned, like 80s. So let's play with a bunch of different aesthetics here. Let's go gritty and filthy, neat and tidy, and for fun let's throw in anime. My next list will be gender. Then let's go with build. So lanky / skinny, buff, medium. I think that's a good list for physicality. So that's my list. I'm going to generate the aesthetic, the build, and the gender of our Joker character, and we'll build a new design from there. And here we go. A messy and colourful female, lanky and skinny Joker S. I love it. Let's do it. Now, with it being time to create a new Joker, I really wanted to create a new Joker. Not just like a Joker that's a bit different and more original than the other versions of the Joker where they essentially have the same characteristics and you know, the same sort of setting with just general aesthetic and tonal differences. I wanted a Joker that feels completely different, but to make sure that at the end of the day, the heart and soul and the nihilistic, chaos-loving Joker's heart and soul of the character is intact. And what I came up with was a girl who was born with birthmarks all over her body and raised in a broken home. But not just a broken home, and a really badly broken home. Now, her dad used to be a prolific scientist and engineer and coder, and worked for NASA at one point and for the CIA. Was eventually discharged, not necessarily honorably, but had done enough in his career to avoid the dishonorable part. With his pride broken and having been discharged in such an insulting way, he turned to the darkness inside him and slowly turned to the places of the deep web and all these horrible things. And as his downward spiral progressed, he was ashamed of and angry at the daughter, not for anything other than being how she was, having the marks upon her skin that shamed him. And with the darkness that filled her home, there was no escape, for every time she went to school or saw anyone out in the real world, she would be met with mocking and bullying and beating and insults, and on some occasions torture, but none worse than the torture she faced at home. But what her father did not know was that his daughter was a genius who was hiding away every evening, using all of the discarded computer parts and the ignored accounts and logins and programs that her father misplaced. Slowly, she was piecing together an extraordinary understanding of the way these things worked, and by the age of 17 had infiltrated and taken over more of the deep web than her father had ever had a hand in. But with a lifetime of beatings and darkness surrounding her, this girl had no heart left. No emotion, no wants, no desires, but to see the world tick and turn at the code she could input. Even if just for the sake of seeing something interesting happen, something chaotic. The bigger the better, the crazier, the more insane and horrific, the more successful she was, whether it be drone strikes in far-off countries, infiltrating and exposing accounts of extremely powerful people, both secretly and to one another and to the general public. It was all a game of chess. And then finally, on her 18th birthday, as a, let's say, coming of age moment, at the press of the enter key on her keyboard, she tipped the first domino in one that would tip over a chain reaction to completely unravel her father, revealing him to all of those who would have him harmed or imprisoned, beaten and tortured, and eventually killed. She lay hidden in the dusty basement as his rivals came in and beat him, and then as the authorities came in and charged him, and then finally as his associates came in and murdered those authorities and tortured and killed her father. She listened to it all, and for the first time in a long time, a smile crossed her face. Weeks and then months passed until eventually this silence and the freedom from her father was no longer enough to keep her satisfied. No, she needed to move those dominoes, to press those keys, to see the reaction, to cause the chaos, to see the fire and the bedlam that could come about just from a few keys. Because after all, she'd spent over a decade building up access to government satellites. She had access to the back doors of every country, every military group, every city, every gang, every tech startup and tech giant, because she had nothing else to do with her time but to gather all of the technological resources and access points of every element of the world as if dominoes and align them to create an orchestra of chaos. A mysterious figure known only online by her alias Joker. No one has ever seen her in person, at least not the person that she's become. Sure, she had childhood bullies and people who knew her when she was beaten down and broken, but they would never have guessed the amount of power that this person would eventually gain, and the enormous level of detachment from reality and emotion and society that she had. And while the hunt from all of the people who would be threatened by the tip of their domino in her game would do anything to hunt her down and find her and bring her to justice or to torture or to murder just to save themselves, nobody has ever seen her in person, or at least behind her mask. For there are some who claim that on the rare occasion that someone broke in, stealing a piece of hardware or an access key, the only clue that they had was CCTV footage of someone with green hair and strange colourful clothes, lipstick on her face applied in a way that made her seem like she was smiling. But little did they know that this person never smiled, except perhaps once. There you go, that's my story. I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, sorry to break it with my random breakaway with it, but I was trying to set the mood, and I feel like I set the mood pretty well. And I feel like the result is pretty different too. So let me know what you think. So there it is. This has been quite a project. This has been a lot of fun. And if you want to have a bit of fun playing around with different ideas and generations of your own, the Arty Games app is a way you can do that. And of course, support me. I don't have a Patreon or anything like that, but I like to make things that you guys can enjoy for your creativity. And this is one of those ways that you can get something you can enjoy for yourself. And you don't have to strictly use it for art prompts. You can use it for writing prompts or even character ideas in your role-playing games. The random generator is the one we've used today, but as you can see, there are design mix challenges, copy challenges, scribble challenges, incremental challenges. You can generate random environments, you can randomly generate characters. And then we have the color challenge, where you can input into your profile in the app all of the colors you own in your pencils or your markers or Copics or whatever, and it will randomly generate between 1 to 5 colors for you to be restricted to. A really fun way to limit and give yourself a restriction to work around and get more creative with. You can play any of those game modes with a timer or unlimited, and of course there's the challenge mashup mode where you can play up to 100 games. You can have a timer that's anywhere between 30 seconds and 30 minutes per round, and you can have each round get faster or slower as you go, giving yourself a really great way to warm up or get more crazy and chaotic as you go. So go check that out, link is in the description. It's a huge support to the channel and a great way to have fun with art and creativity. And speaking of having fun with art and creativity, I hope you have had fun with me here today, the Jazzza Joker, jesting about, just creating janky pictures. Thank you for watching. Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more fun with art and creativity. There are more videos over there you might enjoy. Otherwise, that is it for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.